Alright guys, what's going on and welcome back to Overunder. Today we've got ourselves a fairly difficult game up ahead. With Masters being achieved last video, I've been continuing to climb with McCree, but this game in particular I was asked by the 5-stack that I'm working with to actually play Ana. So even though I have been playing more damage, like I'm not straying away from support if necessary, and this game is one of those examples, I guess you could say. And this, I think in my last video on Ana, I think it was on Lijiang Tower, and I think Ana plays a fairly, like in general, she plays fairly similarly, but positioning changes from map to map, and I think the most exaggerated examples of that is to see how Ana's played on a payload map versus a King of the Hill map. With King of the Hill, I like to stick to my allies a little bit more often. It can be quite punishing to play the very far back Ana, very prone to enemy flankers, which will leave you vulnerable. But on payload maps, I don't mind sitting back and sniping. In that previous video, I referred to my 3 styles, or my philosophy towards the positioning of Ana, but I need to intercept that real quick with, just look at that. My Reinhardt saves my ass right there. I give him a nano boost and send him on his way. I will add though, with the Ana nerf coming into the next patch, for those who don't know, they are going to be removing the speed buff, and that's like legitimately the suggestion that I had to nerf Ana. But in that specific situation where we're fairly far backwards, we've just taken out the enemy Reinhardt, I probably wouldn't have nano boosted my Reinhardt immediately in that situation due to the fact that we were pretty far away. But with that extra movement speed still being in play on this game that I actually played, then that factored into the decision making that I made. But in my previous Ana video, I talked about the styles of tailing, shadowing, and sniping when it comes to healing positioning. If you want to be a little bit more up to date with what exactly I mean by those terms, feel free to watch that video. But in this game, I try to stick towards the shadowing and the sniping, especially for this hangar phase. I don't mind getting into the nitty gritty when it comes down to it, sitting behind and tailing my allies, but when I can afford to, sniping is always a good thing to do. Another good thing to do is to try and tank not the body shots, but when you see that an ally has been frozen by Mei, what I did there, I tried to body block the icicle for my Genji to try and stop his inevitable death. I don't think my healing would have out-healed the damage Mei did, and with that biotic grenades, it allows me to immediately recover from the damage that I soaked for him. But this fight coming up here, working with my team, get the orders to nano boost the Genji when the time is right, and just trying to find that situation that I gotta stop saying the word situation. I don't know why it's always on my mind, but in that specific team fight there, I think it's important to note that when you're caught in a position where you're guaranteed death, I talked about this concept in my previous video. When you're guaranteed death, as McCree, I said, like, try and deal as much damage with the hopes of getting a kill, in an attempt to get a decent trade and not throw your life away for free. But when you're playing the Ana role and you don't have the ability to kill off the enemy, what I like to do, instead of just panicking and dealing abysmal damage into that Reinhardt, instead prioritizing my Zarya, keeping her up and running, and allowing her, after my death, to at least have the best chance of actually making the fight go our way. And luckily enough, it does go our way, and we ended up winning that fight. I'm not sure if my healing was the only, not the only, but the thing that allowed us to tip the fight into our scales, but it definitely helped. Every little advantage you get will help throughout your playtime of Overwatch, and so that's just one little thing that I wanted to take note of. I've been wanting to watch more of my replays in order to get better, but I've gotten to the point where it can be very difficult to exactly identify what exactly is missing from my gameplay to improve. The takeaway from this video, now that I've seen it a few times due to failing my commentaries and seeing the same gameplay 4 or 5 times by now, as I nano boost my Genji here, is that I think my sleep dart usage is something I need to learn from. My thought process with the sleep dart is if I can use it before the fight begins, I can have that chance of immediately removing someone before they engage, and then also having the secondary dart throughout the fight. But what I'm seeing time and time again is that I'm wasting sleep dart, and then I'm not having sleep dart when the fight actually requires me to have it, due to the cooldown being a lot longer than what my brain comprehends that it actually is. So I think that's one takeaway I think I'll take from that video, or this video. But before that round ended, I want to just rewind a little bit, not visually rewind because that requires too much editing. When you have an ally McCree using High Noon, what I like to do as Ana is to, when possible, just pretty much spam healing on him, guaranteeing the survival of a McCree whilst he's in the Deadeye form is a very strong thing to take advantage of, and I don't see enough Anas doing this. I feel like since I play both of the heroes, I think it benefits everybody. I can really tell when somebody gives a shit about, you know, the success of my Deadeye if I have an Ana spamming me, and because Deadeye is one of those abilities that you can feel that the fight is going poorly, you'll have to release it early. But if you have the confidence that you're going to survive, it allows your McCree to continue the channeling of Deadeye and, you know, potentially just win a fight outright because they get a good Deadeye off. And I think it's a cool little tip to know is that specific interaction. There's a lot of things in this game that I'll probably go unnoticed, to be honest, but I want to just try and highlight a few of them. And when it comes to these hectic team fights, like, I think the priority above anything else is to keep your own positioning safe. You'll see I move up into this catwalk position. I used as an example of extremely safe positioning in my previous video, but since that Genji is staring me down, I know I'm not going to have the ability to snipe and heal my teammates, so I have to instead shadow them from the lower ground here. And I'll kind of want to explain that nano boost just there. Nano boost can also be used as a defensive tool to keep allies alive. If you have the ability to nano them as well as heal them after that nano, like if they don't immediately die after your nano, it can be a good tool to use just to keep them alive. And I see my allies moving up that staircase. I don't follow them because I realize just how long it's going to take me to move up those stairs, and without a doubt I would have gotten caught had I followed them up due to me being a little bit further back. And with the ally Lucio fat fingering his ultimate here, I'm surprised this team fight actually goes our way. But as I said, I want to try and point out every little thing. It's going to make commentary very difficult to keep on a specific topic when I keep interjecting, but hopefully the interjections actually help you and like get an understanding of how to play the game better. But I digress. But this defense in the hangar phase is actually pretty interesting. Like, in Overwatch, ultimates can heavily dictate how the game flows. If one team commits too many ultimates one fight, the enemy team can, you know, just overwhelm with the ultimate advantage. But this game in particular is a pretty good example of, you know, how to defend in Watchpoint Gibraltar. This is a fairly coordinated game from both teams. You get a sense of that. Everybody's moving as a unit here, and there's a lot less randomness within these fights. It's a lot more calculated, and as a result, the team fights are much more clean and crisp. And instead of pickoffs being the thing that slow the game down, it's just winning team fights that actually dictate the victor of this game in general. But what I did there, you see I had my nano boost the whole entire time, and I think it's important to know when a fight is won. Like, we started off that team fight with our ally Mei taking out the enemy Genji. I think I anti-healed him in that situation, which may have caused him to die to the Mei, as we make a nice little play here. And what that meant is that once we combine the Graviton, I think Blizzard was also used in the previous fight. That fight was ours, like 100% hands down. And had I nano boosted in that previous fight, the fight we just took just now, we wouldn't have had it. And we're stuck in this situation now because we overcommit a couple of ultimates. I think the Deadeye was used a little unnecessary. We're stuck in this situation where the enemies have the ultimate advantage, hands down. and I type in the allied text chat that we're probably going to lose this next fight, and it just goes to show how strong ultimates are in Overwatch. And I think just being conscious of that fact is like a very important thing to note. It doesn't matter if you're playing Lucia or whatever, and your individual skill or performance realistically isn't going to impact too much. But just having that overall game sense is what separates good players from great players. And when you develop this understanding further, like I've noticed myself, like the more I get to understand these ultimates and how they dictate the pace of the game, it allows you to make calculated decisions on when to and when not to actually use them. And just ult economy is just a very advanced concept that is still it's still in its infant stages, even for the pro teams, I think. And I think even the average pub player can learn a thing or two from how to use ultimates and whatnot. But in the previous fight where my allies got completely cleaned, I just recognized that they were dead. Like sometimes as a healer, like it's important to know when a fight is lost and nothing else can be gained from it. Like in backing off in those situations, as I did before, you'll see I nano boost my Reinhardt once again to keep him alive. I also try and allocate some healing to my dead-eyeing McCree once again. Reoccurring themes in the video, like how convenient, right? But what that allows you to do is instead of actually dying at the end of the fight because you've run in late to try and heal somebody, I was actually I was able to survive entirely. I wasn't too scared of the Genji killing me off. I think he should be a little bit once his deflect is down, he should probably be a little bit more scared of me than I am of him. He probably could have chased me down, but he probably would have paid for his life in return. But all in all, a pretty impressive hold from the whole team included. I think it'd be foolish to credit any one person to the success of that defense. I think everybody involved played really well, and this was a really fun game, really high skill game relative to the games I've been playing up until this point on this account. And we're starting to breach into the bracket that I'm more used to, and as a result, starting to pick more Zaryas and Annas and McCrees every single game that I find myself in. But it's the play of the game, the nice drop down nano boosted Blizzard with a little bit of an maybe an unnecessary, debatably, McCree ult at the end of that. But anyway, guys, that is the gameplay for today. Let me know if you got something out of it. Hopefully you did. I try to make these videos as entertaining and or informative as possible. Maybe both at the same time. But anyway, who am I to judge? Hopefully you got something out of it. That is, at the end of the day, the objective. And let me know if there's any heroes in particular that you would like to see gameplay of me playing for in the future, or any topics you would like discussed. But that is the video for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later in the next one.